Gwyneth Paltrow, Semi-Sociopathic Ice Queen. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Semi-Sociopathic Ice Queen. Well, it's not an epitaph on her grave, for she's very much alive, and I doubt that it is the heading on her CV or resume. Why has she been described as such? Well, an article that appears written by Paula Froelich for The Times explores more about the reputation of Gwyneth Paltrow. I have explained previously why Gwyneth Paltrow is a narcissist and have provided numerous examples of this, including the delightful roast of Gwyneth, which if you haven't already accessed, I'd encourage you to do so. But let's find out what evidence is being offered in relation to her behaviour and how that links into her narcissism, and also the suggestion that she is this semi-sociopathic ice queen. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. might be the one trying officially to make America healthy again, but Gwyneth Paltrow is the original Maha Mommy. Back in 2017, the Oscar-winning actress took a break from Hollywood to launch her wellness brand Goop, which has offered women spiritual salvation via vagina candles, coffee enemas, and $15,000 sex toys. But behind the scenes, Paltrow ran her brand like a high-class Hunger Games, according to a newly published book, Gwyneth by Amy Odell, who wrote the best-selling 2022 biography of Anna Wintour, and portrays the 52-year-old actress as a semi-sociopathic privileged ice queen who courts people she needs with her charm, only to use and manipulate them for her advantage, and spit them out mercilessly when she's done. Well, certainly that behaviour would accord with that of the narcissist, the view of people as objects that are there to be commodified and utilised for her purposes, but also the exercise of charm, manipulation, and then removal could also fit with certain antisocial behaviours as well. An example is given in respect of someone called Andres Souza, whom Paltrow hired in 2018 as her chief marketing officer from the Outnet, Net-a-Porter's online retailer. Souza lasted 7 months at Goop, after Paltrow quickly became dissatisfied with his performance, and before long she was rolling her eyes and making her classic vomit face behind his back, Odell writes. Belittlement. Like many gifted founders, Paltrow is portrayed as clueless when it comes to managing the people who helped turn her business into a $250 million company. Now, pausing there. It's clear that Gwyneth Paltrow has some talent as an actress. She also has some degree of talent with regard to being a wellness guru. She certainly was able to develop a following and has made plenty of money. However, it is the case that you need to bolt on those that have got the actual business acumen and the experience. Invariably, an individual such as Paltrow, she is the window dressing. She's what people come to look at. She's the attraction. She's what draws people in. But it's other people that need to do the nuts and bolts work, provide the substance. And often narcissists aren't very good at doing that because it's not particularly interesting, sexy, glamorous, and, of course, it requires the application of hard work, which is often missing for many narcissists. This one's wife being an excellent example of that in relation to her Potemkin business, as ever. Even where the narcissist can be bothered to put the infrastructure in place, invariably their narcissism causes them to have poor relations with those that have been recruited to manage and run the business. Within the past 2 years, Odell notes, Goop has lost at least 140 employees, including its chief financial officer, chief technology officer, chief revenue officer, general counsel, and chief content officer. Now, naturally, not all of those individuals will have left because of Gwyneth Paltrow, but it is notable that so many of the C-suite operatives have departed. Invariably, those are people that would have regular interface with Gwyneth Paltrow, and the fact that so many haven't hung around tends to point to there being a particular problem. Elise Lernanen, who after surviving 7 years at the wellness company, released a book on our best behaviour, the price women pay to be good, that renounced the cleansing culture she helped Paltrow create with her book. Goop's office culture was noxious and chaotic. Executives struggled to navigate Gwyneth's impatience, lack of emotional empathy, and perfectionism, sense of entitlement. Professional women would act like they were on The Real Housewives. They seemed threatened by other based on whom Gwyneth was favouring in any given moment. In effect, having a favourite, a golden employee, and then having scapegoats. Paltrow could be warm and caring, but also cold. In other words, she blows hot and cold, the typical behaviours of a narcissist. Describing Paltrow as having a capricious and indirect leadership style, Odell writes that currying favour was the only reliable way to secure one's position at Goop. In other words, by kissing Gwyneth's pert behind, you were demonstrating that you were under control and providing her with pure positive fuel. Paltrow, who was born in Los Angeles, was notoriously cheap with employees at Goop. Rather than hire freelancers, food editors were expected not only to make Paltrow her lunch, but deliver food to Brad Falchuk, who is now her husband, but at the time lived miles away, she writes. Abuse of position, sense of entitlement. The erratic Paltrow would become childishly unhappy when anything went wrong, and fail to empower experienced people to do what she'd hired them to do. This was also true of people who took care of Paltrow personally. In the foreword for her 2011 cookbook, My Father's Daughter, Paltrow praises her assistant, Julia Tertian, as the woman whose tireless, artful assistance she literally could not have created this book without. But 1 year later, Paltrow unceremoniously dumped Tertian after the New York Times revealed that she ghostwrote the cookbook. Accordingly, the ghostwriting meant that this was a threat to her control, and thus she lashes out. Long before she launched Goop, Paltrow proved she could be snobbish and childish to the people closest to her. Paltrow's former fiancé, Brad Pitt, whom she met during the filming of the 1995 movie Seven, is often offered as one example. After the couple broke up in 1997, Paltrow told an interviewer that Brad and I had very different upbringings. So, when we go to restaurants and order caviar, I have to say to Brad, this is beluga and this is a cetra. Later, Paltrow allegedly told the cosmetics scion Erin Lauder that Pitt was dumber than a sack of shit. Triangulation, smearing. Paltrow also gossiped about the actor Ben Affleck, whom she dated on and off from 1997 to 2000. Though Affleck apparently was a terrible boyfriend, who struggled with addictions to alcohol and gambling, note elsewhere my dissection of the behaviour of Ben Affleck, Paltrow was attracted to his intellect. Affleck at times seemed more interested in playing video games with the guys at his house than being with Gwyneth. And yet she spoke openly about how much she enjoyed their sex life. Oversharing of information, lack of boundary recognition. Even Paltrow's one-time best friend Madonna comes in for a flogging. The pair, who'd been besties for 10 years, fell out in 2010 after Madonna showed up to an island where Gwyneth and Chris Martin were vacationing. Madonna seemed to know that Gwyneth would be there, which Gwyneth seemed to find strange. Madonna then insisted Gwyneth and Martin join her for a big group dinner at a long table, where Madonna went off on her daughter, Lourdes. Sense of entitlement from Madonna, ordering around. Gwyneth and Martin were disgusted by the behaviour. I can't be around this woman anymore, Martin told Gwyneth. She's awful. Gwyneth agreed that Madonna was toxic and ended the friendship. Now, there's an instance whereby the narcissist disengages from an individual based upon the truth. Madonna's behaviour was undoubtedly problematic, and therefore it was deemed to be a threat to control, and therefore it's an instance of the narcissist using the truth in that instance. Although Paltrow is portrayed as vain, selfish and childish, it's true that she was born with her finger on the zeitgeist. Even today she can change the national conversation and bask in its spotlight with a single appearance or social media post, which of course is power that is utilised by her narcissism. A commercial she recorded for the tech company Astronomer last week went viral, see parts passing, capitalising on the attention from a cheating scandal involving the chief company's chief executive and chief people officer. It was only the latest example of her power. As O'Dell notes, whatever happens with Goop, Gwyneth will be fine. She has a way of emerging victorious from any calamity. She's convinced the public at every return to buy whatever she's selling. And woe to anyone who gets in her way. Repeated behaviours of the narcissist, demonstrating that innate need for control, the necessity of dispensing with people who threaten that need for control, the invalidation of them and the belittlement, the creation of a toxic work environment because there is no consistency with regard to how people are treated. There are people who are in the golden period, there are people that are being devalued, and that causes them all to compete against one another for the favour of Gwyneth Paltrow. Interesting examples, once again, demonstrating the behaviour of the narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.